Okay, so welcome to a 2 week review of Bursa so far. And I'm going to start off with a test your Turkish quiz. So just one little thing on a test. So I'm going to put on the screen, if you watch that through the city that he was based in. I'm going to put the name of it in the screen. And I want to know how you've pronounced it. So 3, 2, 1. So, did you pronounce it as Sugut or Sugut? If you pronounce it as Sugut, then you've got a lot of Turkish to learn. If you pronounce it as Sugut, good start. You still got a lot of Turkish to learn, because I'm starting with this because in order to really thrive in Bursa, you need to have some grasp of the language. And the more grasp you have, the more you can integrate, and the better off it'll be for you. But anyway, let's get cracking. And I want to start off with the big question that everyone always asks, and that's, where in Bursa can you find the modernness and religious people, I guess, or the conservatism in one place? And number one, I think to answer that, you've got to sort of define what your meaning of religious conservatism or area is. Is it a place where everyone's wearing niqab, hijab, everyone's got a beard, the mosque always packed? Or is it simply a place where you hear the adhan 5 times and that's like enough of a Muslim environment, Islamic environment for you? Because I think a lot of people, what you hear about Bursa is that it's like the second or third most conservative city in Turkey, or up there somewhere. It's one of the most conservative. And so I think a lot of people come with the mindset, even I came with the mindset, this is going to be like super practicing, or like there's going to be a lot of, I don't know, visibly from an initial impression from looking from the outside, it's going to seem very practicing, very, everyone's going to be like saying salam to each other. It's going to be like, everyone's going to be like, dressed modestly. There'll be a lot of bearded brothers, mosque will be packed, etc. But it's not entirely like that. I think you've got to really set expectation. It's also a very, it's got a blend. So parts are kind of conservative, I guess, and parts are also like very westernized, like London, or like any Western modern city. So that's something to really kind of internalize and take in, and don't come in with the expectation that you're going to be seeing like an Islamic environment, like like an Arab city, like Mecca, Medina, nothing like that, really. But that being said, from what I've heard and what I've seen, if you are looking for the blend or for more of the religious conservatism side, or if you look for more of the religious conservatism side, I guess you got to go more central and more towards Osmangazi, which is like the biggest district, the more traditional district. And within Osmangazi, I think from what I've been told, or from what I've seen as well, I think some of the areas you can check out, Suwanli, which is like proper Osmangazi, but they recently built like, say, 5 blocks or 5 streets where everything's like newly fresh apartments and very modernized. I've got a video on that. It's really weird. Like, it's really nice at the same time. Like, you've got these really like done up apartments, good lifestyle. Then across the road, you've got like Pakistan, like a Pakistan City road, and the houses all close up, narrow roads, etc. I've heard Yıldırım is like that. I've not really seen it. I've been around Ulu Jami, and you do get that vibe, but I don't know for sure. But I've been told by many people Yıldırım has a lot of practicing people. Demirtaş, I've been told there's that sort of community there as well, and they are building these massive new flat blocks there, so that could be something to check out. And I think the other place I've sort of been told is Bursa, then they got another park, Mihrapli Jami, which is that kind of the border of Osmangazi and Nilüfer, where that big park is. On the other side, Odunluk and Nilüfer, which is super expensive, a lot more expensive than usual, because you've got the park and the river stream view right there. But on the other side, you've got Bursa, which I believe is a bit more on the conservative side, has that blend, but maybe not as conservative as, from what I've read, Suwanli, Demirtaş and Yıldırım. Those are the 3 places to maybe check out if you want more of the conservatism side. But one thing to note, especially with the Osmangazi side, towards the mountain, it can get very hilly. So it can be quite not difficult, but more challenging to walk around and get your stuff. Like, your friend might live around the corner, but you got to go up like a big hill to get there. So if you've got elderly people in your family or like joint pains, etc., then just take note of that. Whereas if you look at where the metro line is and the big road, on the north side, that's where you might find more flat terrain. That's where you might find places like Swansea. I think the Meritash is on that side as well. And even in places in Nilüfer, like where I'm right now in the Airbnb, 23 Nissan Holiday and Atevlar, you have that nice, more accessible land and surface. But now going to some more modern side, Nilüfer. And I guess what some people's mind is, are there any kind of religious parts there? I think you've got a bit more of a mix and a blend. So you've got places like Fatih Sultan Mehmed, FSM, which got podium mark and loads of pubs and bars there, which you probably want to avoid. Then you've got places like Oslo Jah, which is really done up, really nice, but then you've got a lot of bars there. I'm not sure if that's the place you want. And I think the more kind of west you go, the more, I guess, liberal it gets, which has its pros and cons. Because sometimes they might be more open to foreigners and nicer to foreigners, and might be more like to find rent there. Sometimes if you go more on the traditional side, they might not like Yabanjis as much, or Yabanjilar as much. So that's something to know. But okay, within Nilüfer, from what I've seen, that might have the potential to have both worlds. It's areas, and this is, again, an initial impression. I've only been in 2 weeks, and I was walked around from mosque to mosque, and I had a feel what the area might be like. So until I really integrate more and speak the language, and I can tell you more. But for now, this is first impressions, pretty much. But Beshevlad, because you've got the Al Fayyaz Arabic Islamic School, Uchevlar, Kultur, and I think Jamlija. I'm not really seen Jamlija yet, but I've walked around the other areas in some mosques, which I'll show on some of my videos soon. They do, I believe, just walking around, seeing it visibly, more bearded people, more people, women with hijab, etc. They kind of seem to have that blend more. In comparison, when you go to places like Fatih Sultan Mehmed, you probably might struggle to find, or you might struggle, but you won't see as many. You'll probably see more non-hijabi. And there's not necessarily a basis to judge it, but it's, again, just like an impression from the outside look. And masjids, there's a lot of them. How busy do they get? From Nilüfer, from what I've seen initially, I've seen like maybe 1, 2, maybe 3 lines. And Swanee, it was quite busy, 6, 7 lines in the masjid I went to, the Masali Jami. That's, again, this is just to know, I've only been in one, so that might have been a bad day or like an off day. But okay, I'm probably mumbling a lot. But Nilüfer, okay, so Beshevlar, Uchevlar, Kultur, those areas you might find that blend and modernness and like an Islamic environment. Where I am in 23 Nissan Mahalazi, it's okay. It's got the masjid nearby, everything is very modern, accessible, but it doesn't have that community vibe like I saw in Sowandi, and I kind of had a feel when I was walking around the Beshevlar, Uchevlar parts, which you kind of saw like a lot of people together and a lot more parks, like kids playing out, playing football, playing different games, which was nice to see. So yeah, I think 23 Nissan Mahalazi and Atevlar, they are very near to Beshevlar and they're less hilly. So in that sense, it might give you like the accessibility to those areas without having the overly hilly terrain and kind of inaccessible areas to walk, whilst still having their own masjids and shops and everything close by. So that's my initial, I think, impression. I don't want to go too much into it because I've only been here for a few weeks, and the more I integrate, the more I know, the more I can actually tell you. But I've mentioned some of the neighbourhoods, which you can check out, and I hope you find it useful. But in short, benefits of Bursa. Let's see. Life is chilled, definitely. The city has all the home comforts. I don't feel like I'm out of place. Like where I am right now, there's loads of shopping malls. It's like having, shopping, like Tesco's basically. So as I have in Morrison, Tesco, as does on one road, so you can get stuff very easily. Good infrastructure, you've got transport, you've got buses, taxis pretty affordable, about 50 lira for 10 minutes approximately. You could do the conversion on your phone. People have been very, very kind, very hospitable, and not had any issues with that at all. Lots of history, as you know. Kurdish Osman, this is the city Osmangazi conquered, and Osmangazi began the siege, and where the Ottoman Empire began, more or less, or the capital of this Ottoman state began. Easy to get around, you hear a lot of adhan everywhere, so you get that nice vibe, not to dismiss that. The bad stuff, okay, a lot of people smoke, so you're very, very likely going to be inhaling secondhand smoke somewhere. Young, old, hijab, non-hijab, people love smoking it. It's really weird. I think maybe the government needs to do some information campaigns on that, but they have raised the taxes etc. on it, so they're trying to reduce it somehow. Air quality apparently isn't as good as London, which I was surprised about. I'm not sure it's to do with winter and more energy being used, but from what I've seen, especially around this time, and I've kind of smelled as well, some fiery air, especially near the industrial areas. So worth noting, if you, again, use Google Maps satellite, you can kind of see where the industrial areas are, and it'll kind of give you a feel what areas you might need to avoid. You got no Turkish to fully integrate, which isn't a bad thing, but don't be expecting to come in with no Turkish and just knowing Eyvallah and pronouncing the G in Sugut as Sugut, and then thinking, yeah, I'm going to be fine. You do need to learn a bit of Turkish to really get around, and the more you know, the more you can integrate and actually get a feel of what the area is like. And yeah, it's not so much a negative, I guess, but people that might be coming in thinking everyone's Islamic, etc. It's not the case. You do have a lot of like a mix of secular people and non-secular, but they don't bother you as religious people. They're actually really nice. I've not had any issues there. So there's that to note as well. Financially, way better off. Everything is much more affordable here. I'll give a better breakdown of that in another video maybe. But I think for deen, from where I'm right now, 23 in Somalia, which isn't the most like community oriented, but still like a developing neighborhood. And in terms of deen, the only way I can see it right now being better is, I guess, you don't have government that's trying to like bring Muslims down or be Islamophobic. You've got government encouraging Islam more and more. Financially, you're getting less pressure. So if you are a digital nomad, if you're working remotely, you can get by very, very well here. And that's less pressure. You can live in a better socioeconomic state, less crime, better environment to raise your kids. And if you've got more, I guess, expats coming in certain areas, then you can kind of build your own community as well. And if you're working less, if you're like not having to pay for mortgage, etc., you can thrive more. You can spend more time with your family and spend more time developing yourself, more time studying deen. In that sense, it can be a better environment. And if you still have access to, like, let's say UK for resources, etc., then you might be able to balance the best of both and leverage it. But I hope to see more of a community growing. I think there is more people interested in coming to Bursa. I think Istanbul right now, basically here, seems to be the place where all the kind of expats are. Bursa is, from what I know, is about 25 families here. There could be more that speak English or English speaking. But I think the more that come, the more potential there is to build more of like that community vibe. But of course, that's if you don't know any Turkish. If you learn Turkish, then you can access everything and get a real feel of what everything is like. But anyway, I've rambled on for too long. I hope you found this useful, and there will be more videos to come. So please do share, like, and subscribe. And I hope you found this insight useful into Bursa. Assalamu alaikum.